Well, I think obviously it was a really good competition. It was close. There was back and forth. I think the extended camp was really good for that reason, to allow extra opportunities for evaluations. But I think probably in the last week or so, we just saw Cole take a step. Just be a little bit more consistent. Made some really good plays and raised his consistency level, from day to day, and just thought he did a really good job. I think Ty competed and both compete. I think it's really important that no complacency sets in for either one of them, and we feel really good about both of them. But at this point, we think that Cole took a step, and that's a real positive. And but certainly those guys will continue to work hard and get reps and improve each and every week.
How do you distribute reps now?
Well, Austin will get the lion's share, obviously. The ones we'll get more now. During camp, we do what we do, and Coach B's philosophy is the ones and twos get the exact same amount of reps, which is really cool. And we even took some days where Austin didn't take many, and we had let Cole and Ty switch with the ones, so they got the ones and the twos. So they both for second and number, to have a 3-quarterback system, they've actually both got a lot of reps. But Cole will get the majority of the twos, but Ty will still get some. It's kind of, I don't know, have an exact formula for the percentage, but it's like certain guys need certain plays, and if one guy's had a play and the other guy hasn't had it, that we'll mix and match them, but they'll both continue to get reps during individual drills. And we do a lot of things that are group oriented with just the wideouts or the tight ends and the running backs, and they'll all get equal reps during that, so they'll obviously still be developing going on. Well, I don't know if there's two different game plans, but there's certainly things that we'd like Jared to do. I think we have guys that are in a position to do the things if he can't play, but we won't change the game plan per se. But there'd be some things we'll emphasize if we have them available. Yeah, absolutely. I think the prognosis sounds really good. Jared's a guy. Here's one thing about him, and I've said this in here before. He's really smart, and he knows exactly what we're doing. And so I think once he gets back full go physically, it won't take him very long. He'll know where to line up, how to go, and how to run the routes, and where to be. So I'm going to remain very optimistic about it, and hopefully we'll have him. TJ's looked really good. The last practice that we had in particular, jumped right in at tailback, did some things, went out to wideout, did some things, and I think I'm not a doctor or anything, but I think that every day that he gets more comfortable and gets the strength back and all that, I think he's just going to continue to get better and get better very quickly. He's been really engaged. He's been really impressive. I'd say he was maybe a little immature last year. I think that's what kind of kept him from getting more playing time. More than anything was just a little bit of immaturity that a lot of guys have. But we've really seen a lot of growth and maturity with him in the last year, and so excited about getting him back and getting him involved. And I think he can do some really good things.
Somewhere around scrimmage too, I think you were saying, and I know Kurt Anderson said it was really top the run game, it's making the timing and the fits work. What have you seen in the last week and a half or so on that front?
It's been good. I think once we've honed in on Florida A&M and our game plan there, blocking the structure that our defense plays and blocking the structure in our first game is really two totally different things. So it's been good. We've really challenged them physically. I think our backs are doing a much better job, especially when you're playing three relatively new backs. I mean, David Williams isn't young, but he's new with our schemes, Chase and Malik, to understand, the tempo, the aiming point, the landmarks, their reads, their footwork. It's a work in progress. It doesn't happen overnight, but they've been very diligent about it. Coach Mitchell's done a good job with them, and I think they're, every day I see us doing things a little bit better. And, at the end of the day, tight ends, fullbacks, wideouts, offensive linemen. We got to block. We got to strain. We got to get on guys and move people. If you're not moving people up front, it's hard to run the ball because there's no seams. That's running game 101. But that's the big thing that we've been emphasizing is just with the backs to be in sync with the O-line and the O-line and the tight ends and everybody just understanding the strain that it takes and the physicality it takes to run the ball.
Brett told us about Grayson Gunner. With 6 tight ends, maybe a little bit hard to manage, and it's a good idea to set him back a year.
Yeah, I think, he's going to really benefit from a year of development. He's extremely talented. He can really, really run. He's got great ball skills. I think he was a little bit behind physically, and not that anything that he did or didn't do, just with the injuries. And I think that'll be a really good move for him and for our organization moving forward.
The rest of you guys have been using like the NFL does the little radio quarterbacks comments. I guess the last couple of camps, and he said sometimes the quarterbacks want to jerk them out and they don't like it. How do you think that's working?
Yeah, they say a lot of stuff. A good thing I can't hear them. That's the good news. Is I'm glad it doesn't have a microphone where I can hear what they say back to me. But I think they like it to a certain extent. I actually am a huge proponent of the college football going to those permanently for the games. I think there's so much stealing of signals, and there's, personally, I've been a quarterback coach a long time, and when I have to spend time in my meetings teaching signals rather than teaching how to play quarterback, if we had the earpiece mechanism, we could just call the plays that way. I wouldn't have to spend any time teaching signals. I could just teach them coverages, footwork, drops, and we're limited on time anyway. So, but anyway, I won't preach about that too much. But I like having them. I think there's some benefit, especially for the young players, for communication. And the big thing is that I try to do is just reminders. Like call the play, and then you can give them a couple subtle reminders. As they get older, though, I think that they don't like the reminders as much. I think they feel like that's like we're almost cheating or something, or like a coach doesn't think I understand this. But so some I think once they're here for a little bit, the veterans get a little bit frustrated with too much information. But I do think that there's a place for them, and hopefully eventually that in college football we'll be using them on a permanent basis.
Cornelius was in so much camp, and how do you feel like Austin is with those levels you may receive? Not necessarily the guys that are stepped up in the league.
Good. We feel like the timing's been very good. Jonathan Nance has stepped forward, and I think there's a good trust level there. Jordan Jones. Deion Stewart's been really, really good and consistent, and so is LaMichael Petway. I think, all 4 of those guys, in particular, TJ, getting him back's been good. I think there's a trust level. And then we have those auxiliary guys that are all competing every day: Gary Cross, Gerard Barnes, Quaylen Jackson, Brandon Martin. We're really, really excited about that young group, and obviously when we get Jared back full go, that'll just be a huge bonus. But the timing's been good. I think they're on the same page. We've had a lot of good quality reps. They did a good job this summer ironing some of those things out.
Usually playing all those young receivers, and I guess Barb is redshirting, but the others, do you maybe redshirt?
Probably not. I think it remains to be seen. It obviously depends on the health, I think, of some of the older guys, which hopefully, knock on wood, everybody stays healthy. But also how those guys develop. I don't think all of them will, but there might be an opportunity for one of them, certainly. And they've shown glimpses. I mean, Quaylen Jackson has had days where he wows you. Gerard Barnes has had days where he wows you with their athleticism and everything. It's just, for freshmen, it's difficult to learn the why and how all the time on every play and understand it. But those guys certainly have shown glimpses of it, and I think as they get older, it'll be very, very tough to deal and cover. But this year, maybe one, maybe both, I'm not sure. But certainly they're in the mix, and they're practicing with us and getting a lot of good reps.
8 guys listed as on the depth chart. Is the competition that's pretty?
Yeah, I think the first. I think the first 3 or 4 guys have kind of ironed itself out. I think we know who those guys are. But yeah, for the next spots, it's very competitive every day. There's guys that step up or don't, and I think at the end of the day, it's the guys that earn the trust of the coaching staff, and we know that if we put them in, they're going to be in the right spot at the right time. But certainly, I know Deion and Jared and Jordan and Jonathan Nance And TJ, those guys have kind of, and LaMichael have kind of separated themselves, but there's a group there that are all kind of stuck together, if you will, as far as some one or two of those guys are going to have to shake out of that group and separate themselves and put themselves in that upper echelon.
Is Brandon Martin that good, and what is he gonna do?
Yeah, he's just got to, he missed a lot of time, and he did a really good job of being engaged as far as during practices and watching and going through the reps mentally. But if you haven't lined up and you get the call in the huddle and you got to break the huddle and line up and know where to go and know the route adjustment, alignment, assignment, adjustment, as we talk about. Until you actually have to go out there and do it, it's a little more difficult than just standing there watching. And he's got to catch up. And again, a guy that's had a couple days where you've been like, oh, that's really good, but then there's just been too many busts to put himself right in a position right now to be with those other guys.
I think the benefit was when Brandon, Brian Wallace, got the
I think it's your every play checklist. I think Kurt's really helped him. It's really more for you get the call in the huddle and you break the huddle as you're going to the line of scrimmage. What's your checklist? I think that's what Kurt really wanted Brian to really focus on. That every play, it's the same thing. You're thinking about, you're talking through. As we talk about alignment, assignment, adjustment, obviously with the tackle, the alignment does change a little bit. You might widen a split for something, tighten a split for something based on the defensive technique, but what's my assignment and what type of adjustments are going to be? And so I think he wanted Brian to really focus in on his every play checklist so it's very consistent, so he can be very, very detailed and be 100% that he's doing this every single play. And I think it's helped. It's been good.
So there's a guy like that move, then one of the assistant doctor performance at State, I think about the same time you were there. Do you guys know each other?
I know him not well. He was after me, I believe. Yeah, I think Coach Mitchell was there the same time that he was, and I think Coach Watts, who was our analyst, I think those two guys may have crossed paths with him. I think I was there before him.